Well, I don't know how I just landed in the lap of tomorrow's legends, but this is your favorite Raging Cajun with my friends Havoc and Shadowcat saying, the name is Gambit. Remember it.
"30 years ago, one of the greatest animated series of all time went off the air. But now it's returning to our screens, and the mutants will rise again. X-Men 97 continues the story of Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and more as they try to move forward from the loss of their leader, Professor Charles Xavier. Join Havoc and Shadowcat on this new adventure as they bring you the stories of X-Men 97. This is tomorrow's Legends.
Yeah, hello, welcome fellow mutants to X-Men 97. We are back at the mansion after some time, and I'll get to that. But it's good to be back and talking X-Men tonight as we look at episode 7 of season 2 called Strange Land and Savage Heart. And with that, I am Havoc.
And my best friend is dead, but I'm here. I'm Shadowcat.
Oh, no. Oh, we will get to it. Get to it. All right. But first, we got, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, and I'll explain all that in a second. We got some news. So let's dive into the big news section for tonight.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
All right. Well, most of our listeners listen to our entire Legends podcast, so we're talking about, the Justice League cartoon and everything. So if you were tuned into that, this is going to sound like a repeat, but I just wanted to let everybody know, just transparency. You guys have known us for a long, long time, and some of you know me personally. There is a reason why we've been away for so long, and it's just my personal life has really taken a hit. Me and some of you who would know her as Patty Spivot, my partner, my wife, we have separated, and I had to move out and all that kind of stuff. So life has taken a massive change after 12 years. And so that's just where we've been. I don't need to get into all the details, but I just want you guys to understand, podcasting sometimes has to come second to what life is throwing at you. So it ain't a fun story, but that's the news, and that's what's going on. We are back now. I'm set up here on my kitchen table in my my new apartment, going from a big, massive 2,000-foot square house to a dinky little less than 1,000-square-foot apartment. It's a lot to try to adjust to, so we'll get everything straightened out. But Shadowcat has got tons of actual X-Men news for us. This could be half the podcast with how much news you got in here.
Yeah, because this past weekend, it's still going right now. Well, maybe not right now at this time, because on Pacific time, it probably is still happening. But D23 is this weekend that we're recording, so that's the big Disney-centered convention. Mm-hmm. And I thought they were going to announce some things at San Diego Comic-Con, but they waited till D23 so they could wait till after Brand New Day came out to announce some certain things moving forward within the MCU. So we got a lot of X-Men news that came out on Friday night.
Which is exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah. Before we get specifically into that, at the time of recording, X-Men 97 Season 2 has officially wrapped. We're just talking about Episode 7 today, but since it has wrapped, the X-Men 97 Season 2 soundtrack has officially dropped on all of the music streaming platforms. Cool. So it's available to listen.
Now, does that include all the orchestra music and everything too? Like just the entire background soundtrack?
Yeah, so the score is all the score soundtracks.
Oh, wow.
It's what the Newton brothers have put together. So it's a lot longer than season 1's. They release every track this time around, it feels like.
Nice. That's cool.
So yeah, if you are interested in listening to that, it is available on pretty much all the streaming platforms. So I've had a couple tracks on repeat this past week since they dropped that.
I'll have to look for it then. Cool.
Mm-hmm. But to the official MCU X-Men news. So we have a date for the X-Men movie. So May 5th.
Live action Marvel Studios.
Live action, yes. Live action.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. At May 5th, 2028. So we still got to wait 2 years.
But yeah, you know what? I don't care. Like, we're getting an X-Men movie that is run and done by Marvel. I cannot wait to see what they do now that they have the rights to their own characters back.
Yeah. And we have to wait for after Doomsday and after Secret Wars, because Doomsday is this Christmas, and then I'm guessing Secret Wars will probably be fall or winter of next year as well, so we got to wait a little bit after that for them to kind of reset everything.
Yeah, but some of the X-Men might be introduced in those two movies, so we'll have to see.
I mean, we have one in a movie right now. You know,
we do.
No one has seen Brand New Day. Spoilers, but we do have one of them. One of the new cast, not the Fox X-Men that are going to be in Doomsday.
One of the new cast, yeah, and it's a young cast too. Looking at who they're
they're
starting.
Which I'm happy about that, honestly, because that means they're planning to go a little bit with them.
Keep them around for a while. Exactly. You've got to start them young, because I mean, look at Hugh Jackman. He's what is he in his late 60s now? Like, he's losing a lot of weight. He can't keep up the physicality of Wolverine anymore. So he's going to be old man Logan soon.
Yeah, he already was, but he keeps going. But we can talk about the official casting that was announced.
Yeah.
Now.
Who do we
some
have?
of those rumors and stuff are gone, but. So if you haven't seen Brand New Day, it is a spoiler, but you want to close your ears for a couple seconds.
Exactly, yeah.
But we do have Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, so all of those rumors were true. Because there's a lot of speculation there, but it is true that she's Jean Grey.
If you don't know who Sadie Sink is, if you watch Stranger Things, she is the redhead in Stranger Things.
Max.
Max, and she's actually phenomenal. And I did see Brand New Day, and she was a standout. She was awesome in it. So I'm really excited with the X-Men going forward. If she's the beginning of it, we're in for a treat. Yeah,
because I mean, it feels like she's the intro to mutants, and she's the first new one that has actually appeared on screen. Of this new cast, Yeah,
which is very cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see what route they're going to take, I think, specifically story-wise and setting all of this up. But, so we have a couple others. So we have Kit Connor was announced as our Cyclops, Scott Summers.
And that one kind of leaked early. Now, who is Kit Connor? Where would we know him from? Because everyone seems all excited. Kit Connor. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is.
I know him from a show called Heartstopper. Okay. He was one of the leads in that. So he was actually... a lead beside Joe Locke, who plays Wiccan, who is in Agatha All Along, the teenager.
Okay.
Wiccan. That is Scarlet Witch's son.
Yeah. Okay. I'd have to.
So he was alongside that, so that's funny. They're both now in the MCU, but he's also a Broadway. I don't know about Broadway, but theater, like live stage show actor, as well. He's done a lot of things on like the West End in London.
Right.
Cool. And then so we also have Christopher Abbott was announced as Professor Charles Xavier.
I'm gonna have to look him up. I don't know that guy.
I'm not super familiar with him either.
Now he's obviously has to be older than these other young actors.
Yeah,
right?
I think he's in his early 40s, I believe.
Okay. So he'll suit a young Professor X. I mean, does he? Have you seen what he looks like? Does he look? Because we're all going to be so used to Patrick Stewart, and that's the look we're
Patrick Stewart, he's more on the James McAvoy side, so younger Charles Xavier. So I don't know if they're going to be, if he's going to go bald straight away. He's not bald now, so
he really has to be.
Yeah,
no,
we'll see.
Yeah,
but I think they're going for a younger, probably like just starting the school Xavier is what we're probably going to go towards.
Right.
And then we also have Samara Weaving. Announces Emma Frost, which I'm super excited about. I know her from the Ready or Not films, the horror comedy films, Ready or Not. So there's two of those. But I think she's going to be great as Emma Frost. I think it's going to be great.
Oh. Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, she can easily play her. She's got that sultry look to her. Yeah, she's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and just from those, I mean, she's in other stuff, but those are the movies that I recognize her from, and just from those, I was like, yeah, she can be Emma.
Yeah, no, she's going to be fantastic. And I'm looking at Christopher Abbott. Huh. Okay, well, if I see him go bald, I can, because he's got a thick head of black hair. So, but trying to cover up his hairline. I think he could.
I mean,
you're right. He's actually kind of a cross between James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart. He kind of looks in between the two, like they had a son together. So that's kind of funny. That'll work out.
All right. We also have Maya Boyd announced as Storm. So I know her. She's also a very stage theater actor as well.
Okay, I don't know her. I was just looking at Kit Connor.
I don't know too much from there.
He'll be a good Cyclops. So Maya Boyd.
We got a lot of theater actors, which I think is good for this.
Yeah. Oh, she's. You know who she looks like? Gosh, what's that really good African American actress? Oh my gosh, I can't think. She was in one of the old Star Trek movies with Patrick Stewart. Gosh, I'll have to think of her name. Anyway, she'll be a good Storm. She's got the look for sure. Cool. And now the last one, which I'm actually... Well,
we have two more, yeah.
I'm excited about this next one, though.
Yeah, so this one I think was exciting. I knew there were rumors that she had talked to the X-Men casting crew, but we didn't know. So Indy Navarrete, which I've been saying her last name wrong. I've been saying Navarrete, but it's Navarrete.
Is it really? I thought it was Navarrete.
Yeah, I
myself.
listened to the announcements and the interviews, and I was like, "Whoops, I've been saying it wrong this entire time."
Okay.
But yeah, Indy Navarrete, who we know as Sarah from Superman and Lois, has been cast as Rogue.
Yes, and I'm actually really excited about that because she did a good job in Superman and Lois. We watched her mature over the 4 seasons, and she did really well. And she's really popular right now from the movie Obsession, where she's getting
fantastic.
Oh my god,
she was fantastic in that.
Yeah, so she's got range, and I think she has the right look because Rogue. I mean, we all know Rogue's my favorite. Rogue, you need a specific actress to play her that has the right look, and I think Indy can probably pull it off. Put some white streaks in her hair. I think she's got the right facial structure and everything. It'll just be whether she can do the Southern Belle accent or not. If she can pull that off, I think she'll be a good Rogue.
I assume so, since she got cast. I can assume they were doing so many tests and chemistry reads for all these people. So
much better than who was the original Rogue and all the other X-Men movies.
Anna Paquin.
Anna Paquin just was not the right casting at all. So
I also don't think they wrote Rogue well in those movies either. So
no. So all right, excited. One more.
And then one more. Yes, we have Adam Driver. They announced... It's really funny how they did it. They announced him as Nathaniel Milbury, which is a very niche, deep-cut name used by Mr. Sinister. So Adam Driver is our Mr. Sinister for this.
Wow. We know he can get mean and nasty. I mean, we all know him from Star Wars. He was, in the sequel movies. As Han Solo and Princess Leia's son. So I think he's going to be a really, really good Mr. Sinister. That'll be great.
Yeah. And I think either way they go it, because Mr. Sinister can be the very evil, straight-laced, figure, or he could be very, campy and comedic in the comics. There's both versions of that. So whichever way they go, I think he can play either one of those, or a mixture of the two. So it'll be fun to see.
Just knowing Marvel, they are not going silly and campy. Everything they've done is serious, and I believe they want X-Men to be serious. I think they're going to take it in that direction. And
I want it to be on the more serious side, but
yeah,
I can't agree with saying everything they do is serious. I think there's a lot of camp and silliness and jokes in the wrong places in the MCU movies, but
it's wrapped around a serious story. They don't go out of the way to make a silly movie for the sake of making a silly movie. That's what DC does. Marvel has always tried to be serious, and they insert jokes into their serious storylines. So there's been some, I mean, Thor Ragnarok, they tried to be a lot more funny in that sense, and it came out well, but it still had a pretty heavy storyline to it. So I think Marvel just does better when they stick to serious. I like their serious stuff where the humor just comes naturally within the situation that they're in. They're not forcing jokes and forcing humor and trying to be stupid just for the sake of it. That's where Marvel really excels, and why I'm so much more a Marvel fanboy than DC when it comes to the movies. So it's exciting. I mean, the fact that Mr. Sinister is going to be the first villain we get in an X-Men movie, that's kind of crazy. I wonder what storyline they're going to go with around him.
I'm wondering what kind of a route they're going to go to introduce everything and mutants into the world. So I mean, we have a little taste of it, but I'm interested to see.
And how, I mean, with Secret Wars and Doomsday, we know Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are in there. How is that torch going to be passed? Is Is there going to be some kind of weird timey-wimey stuff happening that suddenly we go back in time and now the X-Men are young, or are they pulled in from another universe, like the Fantastic Four are going to be pulled in from a different, parallel dimension? Like, I just don't know how they're going to do it, because we have everybody that we know, and they're all older characters, including Hugh Jackman. So how are they making that transition? That's what I want to know.
I know Secret Wars from the comics and what that big crossover was about.
Yeah,
and it's
one of my favorite
multiversal.
series.
It's more multiverse. I think this one's going to be based on the 2015 one, not the one from the 80s.
Oh, the one from the 80s is the one that I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the one from the 80s, but there's a newer one from 2015 that I think is the one they're going to more pull from.
I'll have to look that up.
That's more like multiverse, different worlds colliding, kind of coming together. It's like think of it like the Crisis on Infinite Earths a little bit.
Okay.
But was it Marvel's way?
Was it like a redo, a remake of the original Secret Wars, or is this still like this is Secret Wars
no.
Part 3?
I don't think it was a remake. It was just that's the title it used to, but I don't think it had to do with the one from the 80s, because that one was had to do with the Beyonder.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the direction they're going with this one, since
so
they've
no
been
connection at all then.
Because they're going into more like multiverse stuff. That's been what they've kind of had. So I think they're going to go more in that direction, and things are going to get pulled from different timelines and worlds and things and get merged into like one Earth or something.
Yeah, because trying to do the Beyonder would be it'd be too big of a story.
I know.
Trying to get people to understand who the Beyonder is and what he's capable of in your first introduction to it's too much. That's too universal cosmic craziness that I think they would lose people right away.
I mean, there's been already so much cosmic craziness. So I was like, here's another one. So I think they'll just go more the multiverse route,
which is people are finally starting to grasp.
Yeah.
So
and Dr. Doom was a really big part of that Secret Wars, and since they're doing Doomsday, I think that's going to be
okay.
A big
he was in the original too, but not.
Yeah.
But okay, that'll be cool. I'll have to look and see if I can find that comic series and check it out, so I know what the story is coming. That'll be cool. I'm sure there's a collection. There's a trade paperback somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, speaking of Doomsday, did you see the trailer that was released just the other day?
I watched part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
It's a minute long. How can you only watch a part of it?
Because I'm not interested in Doomsday, the movie, at all.
What? I don't understand.
It doesn't really interest me.
It's everything. Like, it is connecting everything that we've already witnessed to lead into all their new phase, whatever it is coming. Like, the trailer looks absolutely epic. It's Marvel back on top the way they're supposed to be. It just Thor versus Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic is in a big argument with him. Victor, why could you? Oh man, I can't wait. I'm so happy to see Marvel getting back to where they once were. It's going to be awesome. So good. And then Spider-Man, we had that, and then we had it's Marvel's back. I'm so excited, so happy. And we get X-Men coming eventually.
Yeah, that's all I'm waiting for.
We got. Whether we might get season 3 of X-Men before the movie comes out, maybe even season 4. I don't know.
We will.
Okay, good.
Because it's going to come out in 2027. We don't have a date, but it's going to be yearly releases from this point on. So 2027 we'll have a season 3. Season 4 will be 2028. After
the movie, maybe.
Probably. My guess is probably after.
Hey, but we're gonna have a lot of. We're gonna be covering X-Men for the next 3 years. It's great. All right, well, we got one last piece of news. You were posting like crazy on social media, which none of us see very often. You like.
No, I'm not on, especially Facebook, not much anymore.
Yeah,
but I am. But yeah, I have a little bit of personal news because I have a first published comic story in a comic anthology. So it's not a full. It's a full book, but it's not a full book just for me. It's 28 different stories, but
one story is yours.
One story is mine. Yes, I am. It arrived at the time of recording this yesterday, so I got it in the mail yesterday, and I was like, I have to do an unboxing video because this is the first time I ever can hold a book that has my published work in it for the first time. So it's really cool to have it now in the flesh. I've been working on it since last June, is when the stories got accepted, because I submitted to this anthology and I got accepted into it, which is really cool. It's with the independent comic company that I've been following for a couple years, and they do open submissions every now and then. But it is an anthology called Witching Season, which is a horror anthology where each of the story has to do with witches and magic. And so I've got it. You can see it. The audience can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have it right here. So I'm holding it in my hand, and I have a little 6-page story in here, and it was my first published comic and first paid comic work. So
explain, like, you wrote the story, but somebody else took your ideas and did the artwork. Now, did you work with the artist and what you want, the look you want, and all that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yeah, so for this one, since I just submitted the script, I wrote the script. If you're doing it just as submitting as a writer, artists also submit as portfolios to get paired with people if they don't have a written story. So I got paired with another artist who did, and we worked collaboratively to do all of that. So she got the script and then kind of took my ideas, and we worked back and forth on layouts and how everything looked and character designs and what the color palettes and things would be and all of that. So it starts at just line work, you get all of that, and then eventually goes to actual inks and then the color, and like just watching the whole process is really, really cool. And then we work with a letterer who does all of the dialogue and the sound effects that you see in the comics, doing different fonts for every story so it matches the tones and things of that nature, and then it goes off to print. But that's almost a full year's work with how many stories are in here, a year's work of work to do that. So
oh wow,
it's a lot, but it's really cool.
It's very exciting. So have you posted anything in the Legends Facebook page? You should throw something in there.
No, I don't think I did in that page, so I can do so.
Share your share the link to whatever your Instagram video, wherever you posted your unboxing videos, so people can check it out. And
I can do that.
Maybe take a picture of the cover. And what do the pages look like inside? Flash me a quick little look of your story. I'm curious what it looks like.
Find it.
I mean, it's exciting. We have a comic book story writer in here.
It is, yeah. Here's the spoilers. Right here's the right here. It's cool. The story's called "Till Life Do Us Part," so a little play on words there. Okay. But there's the first page.
I like
it. You can see it.
Yep.
A little bit there. But
and how many pages is your story?
6 pages.
6 pages.
6 pages. So it's not super long, but it's a short horror story.
Okay.
Which is
very
my jam,
exciting.
Obviously. They're taking submission for a witch horror book. I was like, I'm gonna try. This is my chance.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows if it'll open doors to something else for you.
Yeah, it already did, because I do have a second one coming out next year.
In the same anthology, cool. Same kind of thing.
Different anthology, but it was one of the editors that I worked with on here reached out to me, who was putting together another horror anthology, and asked. She really liked my script, and she's like, "Do you want to do another one?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So I'm gonna have another horror story come out at some point next year.
Well, that is awesome. We're very excited. So you'll have to let us know if there's a place where, like maybe in the Facebook post you can let people know where they can get it, if they just go to the comic book shop or they order it online or whatever.
Yeah, it's all independent, so it's all through Kickstarters and
cool
independent tabling at conventions and things of that nature. But if anyone's interested, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And then we'll have to figure out a way to send you copies that you have to autograph for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's exciting. Let's move on to the show now. So you are listening to X-Men 97, of course. We're part of the Legends Network here. I should say the Cybercast Network, which is on the Legends channel here. And we got all kinds of stuff going on. So check out all of our old shows that we've covered before you. And then also looking to dive into DC. They are talking about My Adventures with Superman, the other animated series. It's Animation Nation or whatever they call it, that they used to call it. It's all cartoons on the network right now. So they're covering season 3 of that. And then The Mandalore is very excited because the Ahsoka season 2 trailer just dropped. So me and Divizla and Cyberren are going to get on and talk about the trailer and break that down soon. And then Firefly's still flying, where that one's just been a little bit delayed because life is busy with the real Brian. And of course, you guys now know what happened to me. So it's a matter of catching up. We got 3 weeks behind on everything. So lots going on the network. Check it all out. But let's get to our ratings for this episode.
Yay, X-Men fans, this is Sunspot, and it's time to give our ratings for the latest episode.
Okay, so I am giving this one 7 Savage Hearts. Well, this wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be with the title of Savage Lands in there, or in the title anyway, but for some reason I was thinking the team would be trapped on that island again, having to survive and find their way off of the island. But then again, any X-Men fan already knows that story. But it would have been cool to see it brought to life here in this cartoon, and I got that question for you later in the notes as we get there. Still, it was a decent episode, although maybe one of the shorter ones and not with as much depth that we've been getting, but it does start Kurt's story, or maybe brings it to the forefront a little bit more, of how forgiving he is and that his faith leads his life. It's what keeps him going. And it does make you start to care more about him as a character. If you weren't really a big fan of him before, you really get to understand him and what he's all about, and you can't help but start to feel for what he's going through.
Yeah, so I think it's finally my time to be on the flip side of things and not be as positive or bright side of things as I typically am, or try to bring to, because I'm under you. I'm at a 6.5 plane crashes and power downs out of 10. So I'm not like at, too far below you, but that's probably my lowest rating I've given an episode. Yeah. Not even the dinosaurs and Jurassic Park references helped this one for me. Obviously, I'm going to be biased about what happens at the very beginning of the episode and how they use it throughout the episode. Here's what I say. It is a good character episode for Nightcrawler, and I love Nightcrawler. It carries, now that we have the other two, it does carry things into the final 2 episodes for him.
It does,
in this episode. It's very in character for Kurt, but I just don't personally like the episode. I think I'm at a point in my real life where watching characters continue to try to give the benefit of the doubt to people that very knowingly commit hate crimes and hateful acts and build platforms off of bigotry and power plays is just something that I am not interested in watching. So there's a big theme in X-Men stuff and superhero stuff in general is the appealing to the better nature and humanity. Like, I think Xavier says that because it's something Magneto has said before. And that's, thematic to here, and even maybe to the season, because we do see, Magneto trying to appeal to Ensaba Noor's better nature and all of trying to do the X-Men way instead of his way. But here, for a character like Creed, it just doesn't do it for me. So I didn't really enjoy watching that element, and I thought they could have done so much more with the acolytes themselves and build out what they were doing, because they're in the season 2 comic books, trying to build out a little more. But within the show, it feels more like a one and done wasted concept that I would have preferred to be more fleshed out before suddenly just diving into it. So
as the show seems to do, it's deciding what it wants to carry through as the main storyline, and then all the other big stories are like, nope, just side story.
Yeah. So I wasn't quite as mad at this episode as I was on the second watch as I was upon the initial viewing. But I didn't feel the need to raise my rating after the second time either, because I can understand the storytelling and what they were going for and where it fits into bigger picture, and still think it's a good story for the character, and just know that it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also how people watch TV. Like you, it seems like you and other friends that I have, you watch TV or movies and you relate it to your life, and that's what attracts you or makes you dislike something, because you relate it to your life. You're like, nope, I don't like that because it makes me think of this or that, whatever. And that's fine. That's how a lot of people watch stuff. For me, when I watch TV and movies, it's my escape. It's my thing. I do not relate it to my life at all. I know when I'm going in to watch X-Men, I'm watching X-Men, and I don't try to relate it to anything in my life. So there's different ways of viewing things and how it's going to affect you. I put myself into the stories. I like to pretend I'm one of those characters in the story. You just don't see me on screen ever, but I'm there with them, and I'm living this out with them, and that's how I attach and connect to them.
Yeah. I mean, relating to our life, but also I think a big part of storytelling is being able to relate to things that are not in your life at all, like that you can't relate to, and being able to see different perspectives. Yeah. So I think that's a really good thing. But there's just particular through line that's just, I think, hit a nerve for me.
Oh, for sure.
But even loving Kurt, and it's such in character for him, but it's just like, I don't want to watch that.
So it'll be interesting to see how you're able to talk about the episode tonight. We'll have to see.
I think it'll be I mean, the biggest thing I'm going to be mad about is we're about to talk about. So
it's right on the top, right on the top.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to it then. It's not quite the first point, but it's almost there. Let's talk about our show.
My daddy always said two's company and three's an eavesdropper.
All right. So the first point I have is the opening, and I want to know if you noticed this. The opening music adjusted slightly right when the Marvel Studios logo appears. It has this more Stranger Things kind of techno-electronic 80s sound to it, and I loved it. I thought, wow, what is that? There's something different about the music. It's cool.
yeah, the Marvel Animation logo, I think they changed it up.
Yeah, it just sounded cool. And then the X-Men logo sort of comes in and transitions into it. But man, it was pretty cool. And then, of course, in the opening sequence, we got Polaris. She's in the credits now. That was so cool to see. She had a really cool moment with sound effects. I was like, she's there.
She got a title card.
She did.
Yeah, and now so we're covering this a couple weeks after it initially aired and dropped. And there's always the previously on that shows, past clips and things. And there's always a character that says the previously on. So when it first aired, it was Rogue who said the previously on. And when I rewatched it today to take more notes, it was Nightcrawler. So they must have changed that at some point in between the initial airing. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'd have to look because I have the downloaded version and I've watched it on Disney Plus, so I'm kind of curious which.
Yeah, this was on Disney Plus. So that's where I watch everything. So
that's when I watch when it first comes out, but then I have to.
I just noticed it. I was like, wait, I don't remember this. So I had to go back and I was like, other people were saying it was Rogue. And I was like, okay, I wasn't going crazy. They must have just changed it.
It's going to be one of those Berenstein Bears things, right?
Yeah.
It never was Rogue ever in the beginning.
No, it's the Mandela effect.
All right, Shadowcat. Well, let's talk about Colossus and Illyana. The scene that you probably didn't want to start this episode with, and they go right to it, right off the hop.
Yep.
Boom! Here's Colossus and Illyana, and you have to go through all of that. So,
yeah, I'm gonna let you explain it, and then I'll get to everything else.
Yeah, I've got some questions for you here. So we see them on Genosha. They're part of the fight with the Super Sentinel. I keep remembering what they actually called that thing. I just call it Super Sentinel.
It was called a Wild Sentinel in the comic, but I don't know if they called it that in the show.
Okay.
I can't remember.
It turns out Colossus and Illyana, or Magic, were there on the island. They were fighting as well. And they're doing what they can to help people, escape or survive or whatever. And we see Illyana use her magic to teleport phase people through the ground.
Teleport, yep.
And get them to different locations. She's like, you're safe now, and off you go. While Colossus is, he's like, what the heck is this? And he picks up a car and he throws it at the Sentinel, and it has no effect basically. But what it does do is get the Sentinel's attention, and it turns one of its heads towards Illyana, and it unleashes that super green blast right at her, and she doesn't survive. And this is what we were wondering about when we saw the trailer. Are they going to show us how she died? Or are they going to lead up to that? Because we saw Colossus on his knees in the trailer with her, and so we get that full scene. It's fast, though. It's a fast scene, and we don't get to spend much time with the siblings. We let alone get to know her and why their bond as siblings is so strong. And it just happened really quickly. So my first question is, I wanted to ask you, does this piss you off, or does it just upset you that we get so little time with them?
It pissed me off so bad. Because it opens up and I'm like, oh, they're back on Genosha. I was like, it's happening. It's the opening of the episode, because that's what we were all talking in the trailer. I was like, it looks like they're in the ruins of Genosha, so they're probably going to show that this happened during that time.
Yes.
And watching the opening scene, it made me want to turn it off already, because I was like, what is this? Because the way they animated it was the thing that made me madder about it. I was like,
also,
why did they have her just standing in front of the blast? Like, she's a teleporter. Why did that? They made it look like she just stood there and took it. And I was like, why?
Well, because she raises her sword, and I thought maybe in her mind she thought whatever's coming, she can deflect it or defend herself with her power sword. That's what I thought.
Maybe, but I mean, I don't know. It just, I was like, why did they do that? They could have at least boarded it differently, having her go out while saving a person in that moment. But okay, a couple things, but we saw in Remember It in the Genosha episode that if people got hit by the beam, like it literally just vaporized them. Like we saw Banshee just like whoosh, just gone.
Yeah.
But there's a body here. Like we see Ileana just as a body. So I don't know if maybe they're trying to imply like maybe she got stuck mid-teleport because she was trying to teleport out when the blast came, but she got stuck. Or if they were it was doing the, if you don't see a body, they're not dead rule. So they're like, we got to show a body so that she's like dead.
Well, maybe this will come around when I ask you about her powers. Not a lot of people know about her, but maybe maybe something with her sword, with her magic, whatever she was doing, it stopped her from being vaporized, but it was too much for her to survive.
It could be a magic, but
anyway,
she could have been doing a spell or something on that moment, but we didn't see it. We just saw her standing there.
The sword lit up is what we saw.
Yeah.
The sword lit up. So I don't know.
So, and this is what I was afraid of, is that they were going to, because they showed her already dead in the trailer, that they were going to kill her just for the sake of Colossus's arc or his growth or whatever it is. Yeah. Like it doesn't give her the chance to be a character at this point, because even after watching the next 2 episodes, which we're not going to talk about right now, but I'm just that makes me more mad too. But I feel like they better have something planned, or maybe they do have something planned to bring that back up, because otherwise, to me, it's just like a what the hell moment. I'm obviously very biased. Like my second favorite character, she's on my shirt right now.
Yeah.
But it's if you've ever heard of the term fridging, like this was the literal definition of that for a character.
Fridging, okay.
Fridging. I
mean, by all means, she's one of your favorite characters. That you're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling. It'd be the same thing as if they did something drastic to Rogue. I would have this kind of anger and so, which I was worried about it as we get in the next 2 episodes. I thought something was going to happen to her. I was like, oh my
too. But,
gosh, but so it's very understandable that you're having some ill will towards what they did.
Yeah, the most trying to think it through and being like, okay, maybe give it a little more grace. Maybe this is not how it actually played out either. Maybe this is how Colossus remembers it, and we're seeing Colossus's memory.
Could
and
be,
she didn't actually just stand in front of the beam doing nothing. What it looked like, and it's just like Colossus in the moment, he's slowing down. He's watching his sister be in the path of danger. Like maybe that's what it was, but it didn't.
You know what?
It wasn't clear.
That's a good point, because this could be seen from Colossus' perspective, because he seems really slow. Like he's yelling at her, "No, Ileana," and he couldn't run very fast to get to her in time. So that could be a dream thought sequence that we're witnessing. Like you can't run fast in your dreams. He can't save his sister. And maybe this is the trauma that we're witnessing. That's a good point to hang on to.
I'm just trying to give it a little more grace than what I watched. So
for sure. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, but you have some questions about magic.
So why do you think they went this route with the siblings? Because I can't remember if she had much story in the original series, because Colossus was a big part of the original series for a while. Do people know, do people know a lot about her from the original series or from the comics that they're just assuming? And that's comics, why they're like, we can just kill her off here and people will be sad and hurt, but they already know
comics,
her.
Yes. Animated series, no.
Right.
Like if all you watched was the animated series, then you probably have no clue. Because she wasn't in the original animated series at all as magic, as this teenage magic. So there's one episode in the original where Colossus and Jubilee go back to Russia, because that's where they're from, Rasputins.
Yeah.
And so Ileana is still just Piotr. Piotr's his real name, or Peter is the American version, but he's still just Piotr's baby sister at this point. She's like 6 or 7. And is on the family farm. That's all you see of her in the original animated series, is when she's still just a kid sister.
Right. Okay.
So she wasn't established at all in this show, aside from that. Like, she hadn't become magic. The New Mutants don't exist, because she's a part of the New Mutants team, mainly in the comics. So we haven't spent any time with her, which is another part of why this pissed me off so much, just because it was like she's here for 2 seconds and then she dies.
Yeah, we don't get to know her.
But my guess is, unless they also have something planned down the line, but as of right now, just seeing this episode and this story, is they did it to have that sibling family connection, that ties Colossus to Kurt.
Yeah.
And also pushing Colossus to be on the Acolytes, because that is something that happens in the comics. Is Illyana doesn't die like this, but there's a point where she does die at one point, and because of that and his grief, Colossus goes and joins Magneto's Acolytes. So part of that, getting him there as an Acolyte, and also I think specifically because of the sibling connection with Nightcrawler and Graydon and all of that happening, and giving a bit more of that tie into the storyline.
Yeah, they have their reasons. They're not reasons that you agree with or like, but they had their reasons to push Colossus' story forward. That's basically why they did this. Now, this Illyana, I mean, she looked and sounded fairly mature. Like, she didn't sound like a kid or a teenager. She looked like she was even in her mid-20s, at least, I would say here.
My guess is probably still supposed to be teenager here.
Okay. She had a mature
in
voice.
The comics now, she's in there's a sliding time scale, so it's hard to say. They're all in like their mid-20s to late 20s now, but she was in the black and yellow New Mutants uniform, even though New Mutants don't exist in this timeline, but
she was,
but at this point she would be at least probably older teenager, I'd say, like Jubilee's age at this point.
Okay,
so like probably 18 or so.
She just sounded a lot more mature, so yeah, but her
voice actor's older.
Yeah,
on the older side.
I liked her sound, but didn't get much of it.
I did too. I mean, no.
All right. Well, I mean, not unless you really read the New Mutants, that you really don't know a lot about her. So, what is Magic's abilities? What are her mutant abilities, and what does she eventually learn and grow into?
So, Magic, her mutant ability is that she's a teleporter. But she's got a much more complicated and sad history.
That's it?
Of where she gets...
That's her only ability is teleporting?
That's her only specifically mutant one.
Okay.
But she's got magic abilities, and she's got the soul sword and all of this stuff. So she has a little bit more of a complicated history when it comes to the magic stuff and how she gained her powers and all of that. So the soul sword is the big sword that she has. She can summon it because it's partially made out of a piece of her soul.
Okay.
Yeah, so she can just summon it out of herself, which is fun. But in the comics, so Illyana was only like 6 or 7 when Colossus first joined the X-Men. And she stayed back in Russia with the family at that point because she's just a kid. But a little later on, she gets taken and brought to America as bait in one of Arcade's plans. Arcade the villain, because he loves kidnapping family members of the X-Men and putting them into his murder world. He hasn't been in the show, so we don't need to worry about that, but just know that happened. Because at one point, X-Men, they rescue everybody. She's one of them, so she's now staying in America with the X-Men. She's still 6 or 7. She's still a kid at this point. This is the early 80s in the comics, and the X-Men right now are currently living on one of Magneto's bases. They're not at the mansion at this moment. But one day, so she ends up getting kidnapped by a demon named Belasco and takes her to his dimension, which is Limbo. So Limbo is a place which is outside of our dimension, so time works differently there. And Limbo, if that name sounds familiar, it's also the same dimension where all the demons and where Madeline Pryor becomes the Goblin Queen and gets all of her power. Okay. But they took that in the Inferno storyline, which they didn't go into Limbo or have that be a part of it in the season 1 episode of Inferno. But so she gets taken there, and the X-Men follow to try to save her. And there are these things there called stepping discs in Limbo that are basically portals through space and time, so they can teleport you to different places and also different times and things of that nature. And so at one point they have one that opens back to their world, their dimension, and they have Illyana. So they're trying to get back to their actual dimension as they're going through. Kitty, so Shadowcat, has a hold on Illyana, but Belasco grabs her and pulls her back, and Kitty loses her grip for about a second, but then gets her back. But when she pulls her back through, Illyana is now 14 years old. She has aged up 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Limbo works on different time, works completely differently. So in that 1 second for all the other X-Men, it's been 7 years in Limbo for Illyana.
Crazy.
Yeah. So during that time, Belasco, originally he needed someone young and kind of like that pure innocent because he's trying to corrupt their soul and make what these things called bloodstones out of pieces of the soul. And if he makes enough of them, he can open a gate that'll let the like Dark Lords, Elders, whatever they are, that he serves, and have them come to Earth and any dimension he wants and all of that stuff. But he ends up, he can make a few of them, but he doesn't make all of them. He's not successful in that plan. But during all of this time, so Illyana, there are other alternate X-Men in this dimension too that she teams up with. So there's like an older version of Storm that can use her magic and is trying to teach Illyana how to use magic there. There's an alternate version of Kitty that's named Cat that's there, that's trying to help her learn how to fight and like get through things. All kinds of stuff goes down, and so they all try to take down Belasco, but instead like Illyana has to end up killing some of her alternate version of friends, and it's really like messed up. But she's also she's learned, Belasco has taught her dark, magic and spells and things of this nature, but Storm has taught her how to use the good parts of her magic, so she ends up teaching her how to create something out of a piece of her soul. So that's how she gets the soul sword and learns how to do that. But she develops because she's aging, she develops her mutant power while she's in limbo, and because of her connection to limbo, her teleportation gets attached to the stepping disc. So when you see her teleport, she's actually using the stepping disc of limbo to move people, be able to teleport them. Okay. So she has like full control of them now, but in the beginning she couldn't use them very well. So when she just tried to move people through space and like to a different spot, she sometimes accidentally went through time, and like they'd end up a week later or somewhere, but in the right spot she was trying to teleport to. But so, and also since Belasco like corrupted her with the Bloodstones and teaching dark magic and all of that, she has a second version of herself called the Dark Child, which is actually the version that's on my shirt. Dark Child, I know and remember, yes. Yes. That she can shift into and between to more like demonic version of herself. But okay, that was a whole lot. There's more to her story, but I didn't even have to write this. I knew all of this in my head. But so magic's a staple of the New Mutants team. So if anyone, I know Jeff is a big fan of New Mutants and all of that. So anyone's a big fan of New Mutants, she's there a lot. Yeah. She's served at this point on a lot of different X-Men teams. She's currently on Cyclops' team in the comics. Magic and Shadowcat are best friends in the comics, and they were roommates for a long time. So she's cool. She's a mutant and a sorceress. So it's bizarre to me that they would make this choice to kill her without like any characterization or anything beforehand. It's a bit strange, yeah. Yeah. Yes. But showing her older as a teenager and with the soul sword, like that implies that all of the limbo stuff has happened, but it would have been cool to have seen that or known. Seen some, especially because they're making Colossus a mainstay on the show now. Like you thought they'd want to build some of that background, but I guess the show is kind of this is the X-Men after everything that we know has happened. Yeah, they're trying to lead us into new territory. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, what about her brother, Colossus? We all know he turns to steel, but give us the more detailed breakdown of his mutant abilities as well. Because, like I know how he's heavy, and when you hear him walk, you can hear him thump, 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 like elephants are coming. But what can he do other than just turn his skin to steel? Well, he can turn himself into organic steel. That is his only power. But okay. They call it organic steel because it's basically his skin turns into like his whole body turns into steel. Like even like his hair goes shiny. You see it like flatten and go shiny. So it's like his entire body basically. I don't know if this is still like canon or if they go into it. They don't go into it into the animated stuff at all. But like earlier in the comics, like in the 80s when they were establishing all of this stuff, they even said like he doesn't use any of his organs and he doesn't have to breathe when he's in steel form because everything is steel, which is fun because so he would be like underwater and he didn't have to breathe, so he could stay underwater. But he would sink. He would sink. Oh yeah. He would sink because he gets much heavier and denser with all of the metal. But I don't know if that's still a canon thing or if that's or not. But so when he's in the form, he grows in size a little bit. He gets heavier and denser. He gets super strength and enhanced durability, so he can withstand a lot of physical attacks and damage. Not complete durability. There's a lot of different things that can pierce his skin or cut through.
I
Especially
don't
prone to
remember
magic
seeing that.
and things. We haven't seen it necessarily in the animated series, but there's a lot of times in the comics where some like magic weapon or alien weapon can get through his steel and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. He increases it, but that is his only power, mutant power is that.
Still. I mean, we've seen him go toe to toe with Juggernaut and stuff, and he
Juggernaut. He
really
was up
strong,
against Juggernaut a lot.
Yeah.
The big strong guys. I mean, he and Wolverine have their famous move, the fastball special, where he throws them. So he's got that strength. But
cool. All right.
Then just side notes here. Colossus's voice actor is Robert Cate, who was also the original voice actor for him in the animated series. So they brought him back.
Wow. Cool.
And then Courtney Taylor is Magic's voice actor. She was also voiced Callisto in season 1 as well.
Right.
So I met her at the premiere, so she was there. I got to talk to her too a little bit, but just briefly, because obviously she couldn't really talk much about what happens here.
Next time you see her, you're going to strangle her. How could you die?
Well, she probably didn't die either.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Oh, man. All right, well, that's cool. That is the sibling. So Colossus gets to move forward, being part of the team again. We'll get back to him a little bit at the end of the episode here. Let's talk about where the show goes. We get to this big anti-mutant protest, Graydon Creed, and he's up on the podium and he's announcing his run for the presidency, and racism against mutants is at an all-time high. He's the son of Sabretooth and Mystique. He's the half-brother of Nightcrawler, and he's running for president, and he has hundreds, if not thousands, of anti-mutant protesters cheering for him.
Yeah.
It seems the racism against mutants is getting worse and not getting any better after Genosha. There just seems to be no sympathy to what happened there, at least not in this group and where we are right now.
Right. Yeah, the specific group. Because, running for president on very anti-mutant stance, which is how President Kelly, once ran, but obviously he softened his stance even... he's working with the X-Men, but now he has the executive order on that with no X-Men activity right now. That's still happening. So he's got that pressure from the government and maybe X Factor and all of that stuff happening. So in the comics, Graydon Creed did also have a presidential campaign. I'll say a little bit more to that and how that went to a certain point in a coming episode, because I'm not going to say that now, but we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, during the campaign, when he's got everybody cheering and they're all hating on mutants, Exodus attacks with his acolytes. And they end up kidnapping Creed because they want to use him as a hostage to stop the mutant protests. And, they're basically saying, we've got this guy, and if you want him to live, you got to stop all this crap. And they take him away to, which ends up being Savage Land. So we know from you in earlier episodes that Exodus gets more powerful the more people have faith in him. But what is his power set again when he does have that faith? What? I mean, we see him teleporting. He seems to have something going on, but just refresh us what he can do when he's got people believing in him.
He's got a whole motley assortment of powers.
Okay,
so
just a quick refresher.
Yeah, telekinesis. He's got telepathy, teleportation. He's got a healing factor. So with the telekinesis, he can fly and create blasts and force fields, same things like Jean can do. But he's got enhanced durability too, which are all things that make me question a decision later in the episode. But he can do a lot. He's a powerhouse of a mutant, and he's been around for a couple hundred of years because he was a knight in the Crusades. He was a Knight Templar in the Crusades.
Jeez. Okay. Well, story. We'll talk about it, but man, it comes to a quick end here. So the what you were talking about, why they kidnap him, is Exodus gives an ultimatum to basically the people of America that if they don't release all of the mutants that have been detained by X Factor and the government within 24 hours, that's right.
They're going to
was.
execute Graydon Creed.
Yes.
And there's a quick flash to one of these detention centers where mutants are, and we see Pyro and Avalanche for a second.
Pyro and Avalanche, right?
Yeah, and then there's a real quick shot of a silhouette with a mutant in one of these centers with 4 arms banging on the wall. I'm going to assume that was Forearm. He was in one of the season 2 comics that we read.
Right.
As part of the, I believe, Mutant Liberation Front. So
Yeah, I remember you telling us about him.
That's it. Yeah, those are all the little cameos right there. But I was like, hey, there's Pyro and Avalanche. There
it's
they
funny.
are.
Those two are always together, Pyro and Avalanche. Mm-hmm. They're always together.
They're buddies.
Yeah.
They're always buddies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But then, there's a quick flash to Gene and Scott at a bar watching the news. This on the news, and I kind of laughed because Scott just sighs, and he's like, it's in his head. He's probably just like, oh, we can't have one normal day, can we?
No, I know, poor guy. And it makes me wonder, like, the bar. I mean, if you don't know who they are, you'd never know they're mutants because they look like regular people. So I'm wondering if they're just in a normal human bar and nobody knows who.
Look like it.
That they're X-Men. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that said otherwise.
Yeah. And then another recap here, because we talked about this guy a long time ago. What happened with Graydon and Sabretooth and even Mystique, and what makes him hate mutants so much? Because this episode was all around Creed, so kind of refresh us on Creed's story, why he hates mutants so much.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because in the Wolverine the Brood episode, Morph makes a comment to Sabretooth about his son.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that kind of came out of nowhere. But I was like, oh, nope, here he is again. So I guess they were kind of laying that a little bit, that Graydon Creed would come back. So Graydon Creed is one of he's the one that founded the Friends of Humanity.
That's right, they mentioned that.
So yeah, he was their leader for a really long time. In this show, in the original animated series, he did get ousted at one point because everyone turned on him because they found out his parentage, that he has 2 mutants as parents. Even though he's not a mutant himself, they were like, oh, you have 2, your family is all mutants? Like, we can't have you as a leader. So they ousted him as a leader. But while he was part of the Friends of Humanity, he was, leading all of the anti-mutant riots. They were framing mutants for different crimes that they were doing, but then framing mutants on it.
Right.
Attacking mutant spaces, all of that stuff. I think they were doing a legacy virus. They were making a virus that affected mutants, but they were blaming mutants, and all kinds of stuff was happening at one point. So yeah, a lot of very anti-mutant, very bigoted, doing all kinds of stuff to frame mutants, attack them, all kinds of stuff there.
And did he and Nightcrawler have any childhood together? I know we get a lot of the answers here, but maybe just kind of connect us to the comics. Did they have a childhood together? Did Rogue even have any interaction with him? Because she's, adopted sister to Nightcrawler. So they all, you just imagine, did they all grow up together or what? Like, what's the connections there?
Nightcrawler gets abandoned by Mystique. And
thrown off
Creed
a waterfall,
also gets,
apparently.
Yes, he gets thrown off a waterfall. Yep, that happened in the comics too, but
Jeez.
Poor guy. But Graydon also gets abandoned by Mystique, but he's raised by Sabretooth.
Can I ask you, let me interrupt you, has Mystique ever kept any of her kids that she loves? Like it seems like she's abandoning all her kids.
So the one that, it's not her blood kid, but the one she's kept the closest is Rogue.
Yeah.
As her adopted kid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's different retcons and things throughout the comics.
Not a good mom, apparently.
No, has tried occasionally, but for the most part, yeah.
Okay.
But to answer that question of association within the animated series, no, they didn't grow up in association with each other, either of them. So yeah, Nightcrawler got raised by other people, away from them, and then Rogue had her biological father, but then ran away and then got adopted basically by Mystique and the Brotherhood and all of that.
Yes.
But besides running into Graydon with the Friends of Humanity, and there is a specific episode in the original animated series where this is after Graydon gets kicked out of the Friends of Humanity because of finding out his parentage, and so he's like, well, I'm gonna get back into their good graces and back into the group. So he comes up with a plan to get Nightcrawler, Rogue, and Mystique all in the same place, so he can basically capture them and turn them over to the Friends of Humanity, and being like, look, see, I'm getting rid of my mutant family, kind of all of that. But that fails, obviously. They turned on him, and the Friends of Humanity, in retaliation to that failure as well, drop him at Sabretooth's door. Yeah, so which is why he has the scar on his face now. It was after that incident.
Sabretooth gave him that?
Yep, but didn't kill him, I guess. Wow. So, but he still has maybe a little bit of sympathy for his biological son somewhere.
Well, he does say, I should have killed that runt when I had a chance or something like that. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I guess now that there's a bigger rise in anti-mutant bigotry and rhetoric after Genosha and all of that stuff, he's probably been using all of that to build his platform back up. Because I'm pretty sure the last time we saw him was when he got dropped off at Sabretooth in that animated, the original series. Because I don't think we've seen him since then. So he's probably just been building a platform again and followers in that meantime.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he turns into quite the a-hole, but I mean, that's a pretty tragic past. I mean, not everybody can come out of something like that being a good person still, like Nightcrawler. So it just seems like they went separate ways. Like said, they took separate paths after having the same thing in their childhood happen to them.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk a little bit more when the trial and all that's brought up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about the Savage Land, like prehistoric wildlife, ancient evil spirits, leftover experiments from Mr. Sinister. I mean, Rogue's given us the rundown on what's all there, but and Polaris, I should say. But what the heck is up with the Savage Land? Because give us a rundown of a story. I know they all lose their mutant powers when they're on it. Polaris says it's from Sinister's old inhibitor tower. Was that what it always was that caused their powers to stop working? Because I do remember back in the day, like the X-Men were trapped on Savage Land for a long time and they had to escape and nobody knew where they were. I remember that story, and this is after that whole story. Once they were there, so Rogue and everybody, it seems like they know the island well. They know what it's all about. Because they were all trapped back there, but I can't remember who all was trapped back then. Obviously not Polaris and Bishop. They don't know a damn thing about us. That's why they're asking the questions. But it was the original X-Men from the 80s, like Rogue and Storm and Wolverine and Cyclops. They were the ones trapped there, right?
Like in the comics or in the show?
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't remember the episodes in the original series either.
They were in the Savage Land a lot in the original series.
Right.
There's like almost a whole season where like Magneto and Xavier are just running around like
in loincloths.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, I think they're in normal clothes, but maybe at some point they were.
Okay.
In the comics, they're for sure. They're always in the loincloths once they're in the Savage Land.
Rogue's got that famous. She's wearing the little tattered bikini, basically.
Obviously Magneto had a base there at one point because that's in the history with her and him and Rogue. So Savage Land, it's a prehistoric island that is actually in/near Antarctica.
Oh, that's where it is. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It says it's all tropical and volcanic and hot. But it is a piece of land that has been preserved through time that still has a bunch of prehistoric ancient life on it, like the dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures, saber-tooth tigers and all of that fun. It's also been, as mentioned, it's been a place where a lot of mystics and sorcerers have set up shop through time. People like Zaladane and Garak, and there were people in the original series that were there, but they're not in this episode, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, because it's out of time and very isolated, and all kinds of things, it's a good place for people to kind of hole up and set up shop. And there's also characters like Kazar and Shaun and the She-Devil, like people that were normal people that got lost in the Savage Land because of explorations, and then they ended up growing up. Like Kazar has a saber-tooth tiger and all that stuff. They're not in this episode either, or I don't think they're in the original series, but those are two characters in the comics that live there.
Right.
Sauron, he was in the original. So Sauron is a mutate who turns into a dinosaur and he lives by feeding off of mutant life force.
Oh, wow.
So the green pterodactyl guy, Sauron, you've probably seen him. He was in the original animated. Yep. But he's not in this episode either. So
I remember him. Yeah.
So, but he lives in the Savage Land a lot too, because since he can turn into a dinosaur.
Yeah.
But so in the original animated series, so Mr. Sinister did have a lab in the Savage Land and a workshop there, which he used the inhibitor tower to turn off people's powers while they were on the island, so he could subdue them and do whatever experiments and things.
So originally the Savage Land didn't affect them like that. It's only because of Mr. Sinister.
No, it was because of
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So Sinister was creating mutates, which
mutates. Okay.
I don't believe we've seen any of them in 97, but in the original series, all the episodes with Xavier and Magneto running around, and then eventually the rest of the X-Men team, they were there. So it's a lot of genetic experiments out of like half people, half animal mutates, kind of a deal.
Okay.
And so Mr. Sinister captured the X-Men at one point, shut off their powers so they couldn't escape. He had Xavier and Magneto, Jean and Scott, his two favorite people, Jean and Scott. Rogue and Gambit were there. And it's actually, that episode is the first time that Rogue and Gambit could kiss since their powers didn't work. So it was the first time they shared a kiss in the animated series.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
So yeah, they destroyed Sinister's workshop, but I guess they rebuilt the towers for this. But that's also, there's a very like memed and famous shot where they destroy Sinister and then he's just like a laughing face in the sand on the beach, and it's very funny in the original series.
I'm gonna have to watch the original series again. There's a lot I don't remember. Wow. But going back to Bishop and Polaris, when the jet, they're flying in on the jet, the team, and the jet gets hit by the missiles. Bishop gets sucked out the back, because the back of the jet gets ripped off, and he gets sucked out. And Rogue goes to dive after him, but she's unable to fly because their powers are shut off.
Right.
So she can't help. But Polaris doesn't care. She unbuckles her seatbelt and she dives out into the sky after him, very Mission Impossible style, with a parachute in hand, and she dives headfirst until she catches up to him, just in the nick of time. They break through the tree tops, and the parachute catches on it, and they kind of bungee cord and hit the ground fairly lightly, with her landing right on top of them, of course. So nothing like a little flirting to go with your survival. But I just thought, pretty neat little Mission Impossible style moment there. And Polaris.
One of the best parts of the whole episode was that, and like the Bishop and Polaris stuff.
Yeah. So it was a cool little action scene, and just the fact that Polaris is willing to put herself on the line like that to save
just jump
him.
Out of plane.
So,
It was like, well, I could die, but so could he, so I might as well try.
But at least she was smart to grab the parachute, or she was already wearing it. I don't remember.
But it fell out of the plane with Bishop, so she caught it in midair as she's going down to Bishop, and then gets it.
Wait, I mean, she's used to flying around, so she had some aerial acrobatics.
She knows how to, kind of use the use the skies. Cool. But
and like you kind of just said, they're becoming a fun team up pair together. Like they work well together. They've got a fun interaction with each other. They're starting to flirt. Like they're a neat duo.
Yeah, I know that we were saying last episode, like they were starting to bond and had a good dynamic with each other, and it's immediately turned into flirting and some sexual tension. Is what I'll say, especially with all the power talk and it being built up.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But it's interesting. What I found about Bishop is that his power requires him to discharge whatever energy he absorbs. So when his powers are shut down, he's basically building up inside, like you just kind of said as a joke. But if he can't release it, that could actually kill him. And we don't often see mutants' powers be a life threat to themselves if they don't use them like that. So I really, really enjoyed that he has this vulnerability like that.
Yeah, in this case, since his power, it's some sort of radiation that turns it off, but he, because of his specific power set, he absorbed it as like basically it's shutting off his power, so he still has a whole bunch of radiation inside. Because of it. And so without his powers, like he can't do anything. It's literally just radiation sitting inside of him. So I think it's an interesting little like side, because they're not the main story part of this, but it's a little side stake mission of like, oh well, we really have to turn the power back on in this case, and they have their own kind of mission with a time limit on it. So because Polaris basically says you're going to implode, like we got to fix this. Basically. But just a little side note here. When they're flying in, Beast says welcome to the Savage Land in the same way that Hammond says welcome to Jurassic Park in the movie, and I just thought that was fun.
I did not pick up on that.
I love Jurassic Park.
So do I. I love all the even the new ones. They're just so much fun. So
the first one's one of my favorite movies. I love it.
I mean that was the most what's the word? Wondrous. Like it really brought your imagination to life. Like, wow, dinosaurs could live.
Yeah,
it was amazing. Yeah.
Little dinosaurs in both the books behind me.
Oh yeah.
So it was fun, but yeah. So then next we see Colossus and a group of acolytes get to the crashed Blackbird, and so Kurt's hanging upside down. Rogue is like, "Oh, I can feel pain again." I almost forgot what that felt like because she doesn't have her durability.
Yeah, and then she bangs her head on the roof.
Yeah, she bangs her head.
She's ow. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Nightcrawler's just straight up front to Colossus. He's like, "We're here to rescue Creed," basically, and Colossus is like, "No, can't do that."
Yeah.
But you know, Nightcrawler's pleading that he's family. He wants to go see if they're treating the hostage well, but kind of spins it and insists if they can't free Creed, then maybe perhaps they can let the X-Men tour the Acolyte's base just so they can see their work. Under the thinking of like, if the X-Men approve of the Acolyte's work, for mutant kind, it will have kind of the world look a little more kindly on the Acolytes. So Colossus agrees to that, and I'll just say that the Acolyte base is actually the same one that we see in the flashbacks in season 1 of Magneto's base that's in the Savage Land.
Oh.
So looks like they're in the same spot, because when they're walking to the shrine, they go through the library, but all the shelves now have like candles and like memorials on them instead of the books. But it's the same library that was shown in those flashbacks.
Yeah, and it was interesting the way Nightcrawler kind of appealed, because he knows what happened to Colossus and Ileana, so he's kind of appealing to that softness in him. Like, look, he's my brother. Let me try to help him, and that's what Colossus is basically like. Yeah, we need to protect our family.
Yeah, and we have the shot of them going up to the big shrine with all of the pictures of all the different mutants and people that died on Genosha, and magic is front and center. And Peter's the artist; he's a painter, so he painted that himself.
Yeah, and there's one of Magneto there that gets to, you see Rogue kind of contemplating that.
Yeah. So I just want to point out here that there are 2 shots that we saw in the trailer that are actually different in the episode. So the one of Colossus holding Ileana's body on Genosha was actually different in the trailer. It's pretty much the same, but it was framed and it looked different. Okay. And then the one of them walking up to the paintings on the shrine are different, because in the trailer, Gambit's picture is on the shrine in the trailer, but in the episode, it's replaced by another one of Magneto. So that completely changed.
Interesting. I wonder why they did that.
I'm not sure, because we all know Gambit was dead.
So
that's just an interesting difference I noticed between the two.
I'd be curious why they decided if they changed that after the fact, or they just grabbed the wrong frame because they had a few different iterations of it.
Maybe that could be.
I don't know. Well, let's talk about Mr. Kurt Nightcrawler for a little bit here. Like, what they're really highlighting on in this episode is that he's all about second chances, having faith in people even after they've done some pretty despicable things. He's got a forgiving heart, and sometimes that can blind him because he has so much hope and so much give them a chance, they can turn it around, and I think that gets him into trouble sometimes. And I mean, his belief in redemption for everyone has Rogue thinking about that stuff. Because when you see him talking about redeeming and I'm here to save my brother, the camera actually switches to Rogue once or twice, and you can see her looking a little bit upset about what he's saying. And I'm wondering, what is she relating his words to? Is she thinking about Magneto in that moment? What is she thinking about there, I wonder?
Yeah, they never have a moment where she like says anything out loud, or we don't have any scenes with her talking about it, but we do have those reaction shots. And she's looking at the portrait of Magneto. So I could say like that's definitely a potential aspect, especially with her probably now knowing like he died. He actually died this time. But it could also potentially be her thinking about it in terms of like redemption and forgiveness for herself. Since I think at this point, like she's probably still carrying like the weight of feeling like potentially like Gambit's death was her fault on Genosha, and especially thinking about like the conversation that they had before he died and her choosing Magneto in that moment over Gambit. And also potentially her still, because at that point too, like she thought Magneto died on Genosha, And even though they were just in the past together, like, she could probably still be carrying the weight of the people that died in Genosha and thinking parts of it were her fault too. So she might be thinking it in terms of herself as well.
Yeah, it could be all of that. But it's just interesting that they made sure we saw that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Nightcrawler, it's just, like I said, they're just really highlighting how he has this belief that everybody deserves a second chance. I mean, he's got a big heart, and not everybody always agrees with him, but I found it really not character building, but it just really highlighted him taking the lead in this episode. Like, he stood up for what he believes in and told everybody to back off, basically. Like, this is what we are going to try. So it's good for him.
Yeah, because Creed at this point still wants nothing to do with Nightcrawler, thinking that the X-Men are also potentially there to kill him.
Yeah.
But, Nightcrawler tells Exodus that he should at least have a trial. He kind of persuades Exodus into, well, we've got to do something. You can't just kill him. So, especially since the crimes that Creed committed were against mutants, but it was only the normal human courts that Creed has been in, and they have all exonerated him of his past crimes. So they're like, let's do a mutant-based court, and they have Colossus as the judge for it.
Yeah, that's what Nightcrawler asked for. Yeah, yeah. No, because he wants to. I mean, he offers himself up to Exodus. He's like, if I can't prove my brother's innocence, I will join your team to show that X-Men are willing to see the other side of things. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I mean, and he puts on when we get to the trial, he puts on a pretty convincing defense as to why Creed acts the way he does, like laying it all on the shoulders of Mystique and Sabretooth and how they abused him and abandoned him because he was just human. I mean, even the crowd seems to be rethinking everything. We get a few shots of the crowd going, oh, wow, like they're thinking about what he's saying to them. I mean, it even affects Creed for a moment. We see Creed starting to think about his childhood and how his parents may have affected him and how he maybe grew up, and maybe he's making the wrong choices based on that. But when the fight breaks out, he falls right back to who he is and his hatreds of mutants. Yeah, so
it's interesting because Exodus's point is like so short. He's just like, he hates mutants and he's done all these things. And he doesn't have to say much since he's like, me, all of the acolytes, most mutants out in the world probably already hate this guy for founding the Friends of Humanity and know what he's done, so he doesn't really have to do much. But Nightcrawler does try to dig deeper. He references that, that's where he references the scar on his face. And like, hey, did your father do that to you, and all of that. Because, Mystique abandoned Creed, but he's saying like Sabretooth wanted a cub, someone to be like him that he could raise up in the same way. And we kind of hear a little bit that Graydon wanted to be a mutant. He wanted to kind of become powerful like his father.
So they could go hunting together and all that stuff.
Hunting but so, probably also to the sense that Sabretooth couldn't hurt him anymore. And that like he would get powers, but Creed ended up he was human. He never developed powers. So, Nightcrawler, the argument is that Creed doesn't hate mutants. He just hates the two that hurt him, which were his parents. And he's taking it out on all mutants instead of just those two.
Yeah, and that's what people were starting to understand and possibly start thinking maybe maybe we can help him overcome this hatred and whatever.
Right.
Like, you could just see people contemplating a lot of stuff.
And that's, Kurt is a character like Nightcrawler in that sense. Like, this is a very large aspect to him, is thinking through all of these different things in people's backgrounds through his sense of faith, but also just knowing there's always like another side to the story, and like thinking through like, how does someone get to this point where they're so hateful, or they're choosing to do these things against maybe a certain group of people, or whatever it is that they're doing. And so I think it's a great character thing for Kurt. I think maybe to the point where, like, these are what stories do. They make us think about things in real life and in these kind of situations and stuff too. Like, any like kind of evil or bad person we can think of, grew up as a child, had a childhood, or maybe probably had traumas that maybe sent them down, because we're seeing it in the sense of like, Nightcrawler has at least one of the same parents, but he turned out completely different than Creed. So we're seeing that like nature versus nurture, and how do you become like who you are, and all of these things. So I will say that there's compelling aspects to hearing these different things, but I do think then we get to the point of like, especially once you're a grown adult, you are making choices. Like you are responsible for certain actions, and you continue to make choices, and that is kind of what becomes. I don't think there's just strict good and bad. Like I'm pretty in like there's a whole lot of things that go into things, but your choices are what's going to define you. And if you're continuously doing these, acts of hate, even if it's stemming from a trauma, like that doesn't necessarily make you like, there might still be some people can't change. I do believe that. I do think that there are people that absolutely can change. We all need second chances. We're all going to do bad things and need that. But at the same time, I do think there are some people that like being hateful, and like that's just what they're going to continue to do. So, and I keep seeing things in real life where people are not being held accountable or consequences happening, and like bad people just keep getting away with really bad things. Yeah. And I think that's just, to an extent, I'm just like, I know exactly what this episode is doing, and it's a good contemplative thing for people to kind of wrestle with. But at the same time, I'm just like, I see too much of it in real life and they keep getting away with it, and I just don't like it. So I hit that nerve. It just hit that nerve.
And that I agree with for sure. Like, that's there's people that get away with it, and it's always based on who they know, what their connections are, how much money they have.
Money.
Power, and it's not right. But that's
it's just, I mean, it's a worthwhile conversation. And I mean, that's some of the stuff like X-Men stories and things of that nature that dive into this can do. Yeah. But.
Well, let's get to a little more fun points about Kurt himself, little Nightcrawler. A couple side questions here. So, how far can he actually teleport? Because when he saves Creed from the fight, they end up what looks like really far away, like the Arctic or something. But now that you told us that it's the Antarctica, it's like he went from the Savage Land to Antarctica. But they don't really say. But how far can he teleport? Because that seemed like a pretty good jump.
So typically in the comics, he's actually one of all the teleporters. He's actually probably in terms of distance, he can probably go the least distance of a lot of the teleporters.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he's usually in the comics, he's only able to teleport a few miles at a time. I remember last season at the end when Magneto has turned off the power on Earth, basically, and the team was like, so Kurt's going to teleport all of us from New York to Muir Island. That's in Scotland. Right. And I was just going, how is he going to do that? He can only teleport a couple miles at a time, and he's going to go from New York to Scotland with the entire team. So I just remember that. But
unless he went one at a time, but that's still a big distance.
I mean, this show might just be like, nope, you can do whatever. Yeah. Because they've never like established or like said.
No.
Like Kurt can only teleport 3 miles at a time or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So they might just be taking some liberties and be like, yeah, he can teleport wherever he wants. But so I mean, with the Savage Land being in Antarctica, he most likely wasn't like a super long jump since they were already in the same like area. But he probably just teleported to like an actual colder section of Antarctica.
Still probably good 10, 15, 20 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
It's probably still good distance. I mean, he's completely out of the Savage Land.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, then my other question is how strong is his tail? Because he seems to be able to subdue and hold really strong people with it.
I mean, I'd say strong. It's not like, I don't think they've ever had an index on how muscular his tail is, but it's, it's a limb. It's an extra limb for him. So he can use it just like his arms and legs like we do.
But it still seems stronger than somebody's arms. Yeah.
I mean, he's got full muscle control of it. Like he's constantly swinging from it, or he literally hangs upside down from it all the time in the comics. Yeah. Plus like he's a gymnast. He's an acrobat. Yeah. Like he was raised in the circus. I don't know about in the animated series, but like that was his background. So he's like fully agile, nimble. He knows how to use it. Okay. So I'd say he's got a pretty strong tail.
Yeah, I mean, we see him using it quite a bit. So, okay, interesting. Well, let's get to the fight, the big fight with Exodus and all his acolytes. Exodus doesn't like the way the trial is going, and he interrupts it. And he ends up getting Creed on the ground and puts his sword to Creed's head, to his throat. And he's asking for Colossus to make his decision. I feel like it wouldn't matter what the choice was. Exodus wouldn't accept an innocent decision here and break whatever the trial is, and he's going to kill Creed no matter what.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even if Colossus, he doesn't even let Colossus speak. So we have Nightcrawler trying, at the very end of his defense, he's trying to appeal to Colossus that, Creed is just a man haunted about who he couldn't be or who stepped out on him and, about the loss. And so Nightcrawler is like, just like us, Colossus, like we're haunted by the things and like the deaths and abandonments. Yeah. So you can see Colossus is, softening up. But, Exodus doesn't even let Colossus say either way. He just thinks he's going to side with. He just thinks he's going to side with Kurt immediately. So he literally starts attacking Colossus before he can say anything.
Yeah, right. And so then the whole fight breaks out, and we see a lot of cool characters jumping in the fight, which are going to throw a bunch of names at us in the your section there. But as the fight's breaking out, just in time, Polaris and Bishop take out the inhibitor tower. It was a fun moment because they're flying in on pterodactyls, no less.
Yes.
Of course, we'll just trap some pterodactyls and fly in on them. And but when they shut down the tower, they restore everybody's abilities, and the big fight breaks out, which I just thought was fun.
Yes, the pterodactyl entrance. That's another best part of the episode. But that's the kind of Savage Land fun I like to see.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. But we see a lot of mutants fighting, and is there any of them that you want to highlight here that we don't really know, or are you going to save them all for Lockheed's Lair?
Yeah, I've got them all in Lockheed's Lair, just because, there's like a million of them they decided to draw into this. Yeah. And none of them, a couple had, some background lines during the trial, but none of them were, big parts of the story, so I'm just gonna run down names and not power sets, because that would take forever.
Yeah. So when we see Colossus, we were talking about his abilities, and he can pretty much stand up against anything in his steel form. Nothing seems to faze him, because we see him get hit by 3 different types of attacks, and he just pushes against it. No problem. But we see that he ends up fighting alongside the X-Men. He starts slapping down a couple other people, but he made his choice as to what side he's going to be on.
Yeah. So, there's a couple fun stuff. Polaris is, slapping the Acolytes with their own armor. Yeah. He just, pulls them off and makes balls of metal and throws them at him, which is fun.
I love
There's
Polaris.
a point where Beast is jumping off of someone, and they literally put in, a boing sound effect. It's so funny. But, Colossus makes his choice.
Yeah.
He's even if Nightcrawler, whichever way he was going to go in the trial, he has made his own personal choice of Nightcrawler persuaded me to be okay, I know what I'm fighting for. Or he saw Exodus be nope, I'm not going to be just. So he's I'm back with the X-Men.
Yeah. Which, we kind of figured would be inevitable anyway.
Yeah,
still.
We figured that.
But then another cool part of the fight is Nightcrawler and Exodus get into this really fun teleporting sword fight as they're dancing and blipping in and out all over the place. But eventually Kurt gets the upper hand, and he's got Exodus at sword point, one in front of him and one at the back of his head. And it's kind of fun that he can use his tail like another arm, like you said. But that was a pretty cool sequence when they're blipping all over the place and keeping up with each other. 2 teleporters
and 2 seasoned swordsmen. So
yeah, it was really cool, I thought. But when Creed sees that, he takes advantage of the situation and shoots Exodus right through the heart, it seems. Which, is that the end of Exodus? Just like that, a human, blam, shoots him in the heart, done.
Yeah, this is another moment where I was really? I was just are we really going in this direction? And it's not like I'm a big Exodus fan or anything. I'm not, I don't care too much about Exodus, but I did find it strange that a guy that has been around for a few hundred years and with that many powers, one that I said earlier includes a healing factor, is just taken out by Creed shooting him. Like you said, they showed it as a shot to the heart, but I just simply cannot find it that believable that this is how they choose to end a mutant like Exodus. But they show him with his eyes open lying on the ground, so and they're probably going yep, that was dead. Yeah. But I guess I could see it an explanation is because we were talking about he gets stronger when he's surrounded by people that believe in him with the faith aspect. So I could see it as potentially if people start to lose faith in him, that wavers, maybe he gets weaker. And I'm guessing people in this trial watching him just go, no, I'm jury, judge, executioner, without hearing Colossus's verdict, any of that, they might have started to lose some faith in him with that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, he could have been potentially weaker in that moment, but it, even with that, like, it's just a bizarre choice to be. Like, he's a super strong mutant. Like, maybe they're just showing the continued aspects of Creed's cruelty, and they wanted, like, another final moment with him, but, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't into that choice either. And I feel like the more the season's gone on, like, the more it just feels like they're treating death very flippantly within the story, and I'm not, like, personally into that as a story choice. You have some of the very big, like, Gambit's is very emotional. You have Magneto's was very big and emotional and meaningful, but, like, they're just kind of killing people left and right, it also seems, right now. So, I don't know.
But yeah, like, I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, it's also, we've never seen an animated show have this much death before, so
yeah,
I don't know if they could make every single one a big emotional traumatic thing, but
right. I mean, you don't need, like, every single one, but it just feels like this season they're like, Marvel was like, you can kill people, and so they were like, we will, every episode.
Well, I mentioned before, it's like the Transformers the movie from 1986. Transformers never died ever, and in the movie they killed a whole whack ton of them in the first 10 minutes, and it was shocking. It's like, what is happening here? But they're doing it, and none of the deaths were really same thing that you're complaining about here. They paid no attention to them. It's just people were dying. Oh my god, that was Ironhide. That was like, they're all dead in the background. What happened? So I think this is kind of it's feeling like that to me, that now that they took that rule out of there, people can just die at any given time, and because a lot of these situations you always wonder, how does everybody survive all the time? Like, that's not realistic. I mean, here it's more realistic.
Call it plot armor.
Yeah. Here it's more realistic, even though we're not getting
it is, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm back and forth on it, but
I guess it depends on how they do it. And
yeah.
But then Creed surprises Nightcrawler. He gets in behind him and has a gun to Nightcrawler's head. Bishop tells Polaris, stop them, or he says Polaris, and she says, yep, I want it. And she sends this sword magnetically flying right at them. Now, what was her intent? Was her intent to put that sword right through Creed's face and kill him
probably.
In that moment? Like, holy crap.
At that point, I mean, maybe she was like, well, the sword will hit the gun, and then he won't have a gun. But I don't know. I think it was a fun choice by Polaris. That's kind of just who she is. I mean, an episode ago, she was going to drop a giant boat on the purifiers. So
true.
Why not a sword through the face of another bigot?
Unless she was going for the gun. But I think for me, where I was not only surprised by the possibility of it, but why didn't she just use her magnetism to take the gun out of his hand?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, so Kurt teleports him and Creed out of there to the frozen wasteland of Antarctica, and makes the choice to leave him there after he's lamenting about what should be done and who he should give mercy to, who deserves to die, who deserves to live, and it's up to the gods, or it's up to greater powers than me. My choice is to leave you here. And then he teleports out. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, that was a pretty heavy moment right there.
Yes, and we're going to hear it. So. Yeah,
but do you have any thoughts about it, or do you want to save it for after we hear it?
I think we'll save it to hearing it, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, and there's just the small thread in the episode with Val Cooper and Xavier still butting heads, since, Xavier sent X-Corp to help, and Val's like, you can't do that, don't think about it. But he did it. And then, because at the very end, they're like, there's a small conversation where, like, X-Factor found Creed out in the Arctic and brought him back, and Xavier's like, he was alive, and that was the promise that we had. That's what we
promised you. Yeah.
Yep. So they're still butting heads.
They're still butting heads there. Yeah. Oh man. Well, welcome home, Colossus. He returns to X Mansion with the team, but he admits that he wasn't going to give Kurt the verdict of innocent, but he would have, because Illyana would have. So it's kind of interesting that he admits to that. And I just thought it was fun, because here we are, Colossus returned to the team. We're getting all the originals back from the original series.
Yeah, I have something. I have Colossus saying Illyana would have found him innocent, or would have sided with Kurt, and I'm saying lies to that.
Okay.
Because of the Rasputins, Colossus is the softie. He's the big softie. He would have been the one convinced by Kurt. Magic, on the other hand, she's a compassionate person, but she does not play around with people that hurt mutants or bigots and anything like that. She would have been off with his head immediately. I think she would have been on X's side.
Off with his head.
Yes. So I'm gonna call lies to that, and they were just gonna make it. They just wanted to make it a little, sentimental moment.
Right. Well, we have the end scene. Did I forget to put notes in here about the end scene?
You did. I did, though, so it's okay.
Okay, you carry it then. I wrote the word end scene. I guess I never... Okay, you tell us what happened at the very end.
Yeah. So most of my rating for this episode goes to the dinosaurs and this very last scene, because it actually shocked me when I watched it for the first time, because I was like, oh, a twist. I was not seeing this coming.
Yes.
So... we have a scene, we're back at Athens like we were at the end of the last episode, and X-Force is at Apocalypse's base, and they are trying to sneak in.
They found the hole in the ground, apparently.
Yep, they found the hole in the ground, and they're sneaking in, they're being stealthy, and they're going up to the table where the Horseman tech was, where we saw Gambit resurrected at the end of last episode, but they do not find Gambit on the table. They find a very drained and very decrepit-looking corpse of Apocalypse.
Which is insane to me, because that I got so many questions, because we were debating which Apocalypse is this. Is this the one from the future that came back in time, or is this the one that has gone through all of time and is like thousands of years old now? So that's my first question. Which Apocalypse do we think that is? And then my second question is, how the heck is Death Gambit that powerful that he can kill Apocalypse? Because Apocalypse is pretty much unstoppable. So those are my two big questions.
And my answer is, I believe this is the Apocalypse that came from the future. So the one that was in 39, 68, 80, wherever they were in the future, and said, I'm going back to the 90s. I believe this is the future Apocalypse.
Okay, so it's future Apocalypse. So the original one that's growing through all of time eventually gets to that future point.
Eventually gets to that
and
future.
then comes back in time.
Yeah, it's still the original Apocalypse, but I think it's just they're making like this one is the final one, because they showed him traveling back in time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this
which
is probably that one.
Which is good, and it makes a lot of sense, because it gets rid of that whole... we have two apocalypses in the same time period. It
I wouldn't have wanted that.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the one from the future that came back in time.
Death Gambit.
And Death Gambit, what the heck? He's that powerful?
So, at this point, I mean, I've watched the other two episodes. So
but let's talk about it.
But thinking about it in this sense.
In this sense that we're only here right now.
And even pre-watching those, I did have a theory that I don't think necessarily Gambit took him out. I think this was intentional. I think because I'm thinking this is the future Apocalypse. Future Apocalypse was still in his Lazarus regeneration chamber, and he was looking for a vessel, and they were looking for Nathan, because Nathan was going to be Cable was going to be the vessel. So I'm pretty sure that this Apocalypse still needed another vessel. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe Gambit wasn't necessarily resurrected to be Death, like we were all thinking. Maybe he was resurrected necessarily to be the vessel of Apocalypse.
So you
and
put that together,
Apocalypse putting himself into Gambit.
And you put that together even at the end of this episode as the first time through, before seeing the other two?
It was one of the theories.
Okay.
I was still on, okay, maybe it is still just Horseman Death Gambit.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, but if this is, because I was thinking about and this is not the first time Apocalypse has needed a vessel or used a vessel.
Right.
In the animated show, in the comics, like that's been a thing. He's transferred his consciousness into other people to come back.
Okay, so because I think for me, just the shock of seeing Dead Apocalypse. So all I can think of is how is Gambit that powerful? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I wasn't expecting it. I was like, okay, is this going to be? Are we going to see a second Horseman at the end of this episode? Is what I thought potentially, and then they showed a Dead Apocalypse, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's not what I was expecting.
Well, we discussed that last week. Like, are we going to get one Horseman per episode? Because we need to get 4 eventually, right? But that just blew me away. But now, I guess my other question now that I've just thought of is, when the X-Force comes across that, and they obviously let everybody know, at this point in time in the storyline, do they all actually believe Apocalypse is dead, because they don't know this is future Apocalypse. They only know there's one. Do
I
they
mean,
actually believe he's dead now?
They all seem to.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Is because Cable's, I think he says something of like, this is impossible. Like, this is not a thing. So I think they're all like, Apocalypse is dead.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what a shocking way to end the episode. Before we even get to episode 8 and 9, like, holy crap, that's a bomb drop right there. like okay, I thought Apocalypse was the main villain of the season. Now he's dead. Gambit's going to be the bad guy for the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
What the heck? That's insane. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is the episode. We're going to take a pause for our ad break, and when we come back, it'll be Lockheed's lair and favorite scenes. Let's get to that.
Don't you agree?
All right. What are you going to run us down for on Lockheed's lair this week?
All right. So first, just a quick reference. So this episode was called Strangeland Savage Heart. There is a 2-parter in the original animated series that is called Savage Land Strange Heart. So this is the title to this one is a play on that one.
Okay.
And then the only other thing I got, but it's a long one, is all of the acolytes. There's so many. Like I said, I'm just gonna go through some names and no power sets because there's like a million.
Rhyme them up.
So, and some of them we did meet in the season 2 comics we covered. So I did a few of them. I have covered some power sets and backgrounds on.
I mean, you said there's a million of them. If you're just naming a million names, we're still going to be here a while.
I know, but I'm gonna try to go through it super quickly. Like
everybody's going, a million? What the heck?
Yeah. I mean, it felt like it. It felt like they put every acolyte possible into this episode, into the background. But, so we've got Frenzy, we've got Amelia Vaught, we've got Burner, Scanner, Barnacle, Neophyte, Projector, we have Anna Marie Cortez, who is the sister of another famous acolyte, Fabian Cortez, who is not in this episode, probably because Apocalypse used him as a vessel in season 5 of the original animated series.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, we've seen the vessels before, but okay, we've got Seamus Mulligan, we have Tempo, Senyaka, we have Random, we have the Kleinstock brothers, they're twins, we have Katu Koth, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pronounce it. This is an Italian name. I looked up how to pronounce it, and I just read it wrong every single time, but it's Unacion, I think. That was very wrong.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's Italian in pronunciation, and I did not write down the pronunciation. It's too late for my brain to say it right. But Static, we have Vindaloo, we have Gargoyle, we have Remram, Spore, Chrome, Milan, we have Kamal, Delgado, and then there's potentially, I could not quite figure it out in my research, but I think it's an acolyte. I think her name is Lisa Hendricks.
That's a plain name, sure.
I know. She doesn't have an actual, because she's not actually a mutant, but she was in an alternate Earth and was part of the Acolytes. But I couldn't figure it out otherwise because of my research. But I was like, this one person, that has to be someone because everyone else is someone. And then, so, I don't know if you noticed because you didn't bring them up, but your friends Rusty and Skids are here.
What? I didn't notice them.
Yeah,
Aww.
I'll have to find the screenshot for you, but they're in the background because they're in their outfits.
Huh.
But they're sitting with the Acolytes, so it does look like that at the end of that first season 2 comic, when the Acolytes and Exodus shows up, that they did in fact join up with the Acolytes. So
okay,
just a little nod to that.
Speaking of the comics, issue 3, where does that? You already have it, or is it out yet?
Yes, that dropped on the 12th, so when the finale aired.
And where does it fit in the stories that were covered between 7, 8, and 9?
It I read it, and now I'm trying to remember where it fits in. Okay. It is more flashback stuff to X-Force doing things, and to also stuff that we see in the finale. So we'll cover it after that. Probably.
Cover it after the finale?
I would say so.
Okay. All right.
Or maybe after next episode, because I don't think I'll have to reread it. But I know there was stuff. Yeah, I know there was some stuff in further episodes that are in it.
Right. I still have to go get it. It's probably sitting at my comic shop waiting for me. I haven't picked it up yet. So, All right, well, fun. I mean, there's a lot of names that I've never heard of before.
A lot of names.
So,
Yep.
like Senyaka,
I mean, it's
Vindaloo, I don't even know
yeah,
these people.
it's some characters that were in like a couple panels of one issue, but they're
Right.
like, we got them.
Right.
Put them in here.
Cool. Well, that's fun. Let's move into our favorite scenes from the episode then.
All right.
Like, what is it with guys and explosions anyway?
What is it? All right, I'm going to go first because it's funny that you picked the scene that I was going to pick.
Yeah, I bet. I was like, I got to get it in first.
Yeah, so I went back and I said, I had a lot of fun with Bishop and Polaris, so I put a couple of their scenes together to make one long clip of them just doing their thing together. So this is Bishop and Polaris having some fun.
Starting to see why they call it the Savage Land.
Honestly, might be underselling it.
Yeah.
Bishop, are you all right?
Before the jet got hit, there was some sort of energy. I could feel my powers building up inside me, but I can't release them.
Sinister's old inhibitor tower. The Acolytes must have rebooted it to suppress all of our mutant powers. How long can you contain it?
Let's just say I don't got a lot of time left. We need to find the others and get Creed the hell out of here.
They must have moved off.
Nah, more like carted off. Place is a fortress. Gonna need a mighty big advantage if we're gonna bust them out.
Also, need you to not implode on me before we get there.
Then we better take out that inhibitor tower first. Got any bright ideas?
Bright? No. But fun? Hell yeah.
I'm really liking Polaris's voice. She just sounds cool. Yeah. Raspy, I like that.
Yeah. I'm glad. I like that they went that direction.
Yeah. All right, what are you going to wrap it up with?
Yes, and alluded to earlier, but mine is that end scene with Nightcrawler when he leaves Graydon Creed out in the snow, and he kind of reams into him. You see a little bit more of Nightcrawler, almost like his patience is wearing thin with him, and he leaves his brother.
All right, here it is.
Cannot conceive, nor can I, the appalling strangeness of the mercy of God. But who more than you deserves to die for the horrors you have unleashed? For would it really be mercy to spare the monster who would let mutants suffer? Or is mercy found in ending you and sparing us instead? Alas, this is what higher powers are for. But allow me to grant you this. Brother, you may not be a mutant, but you are very much your parents' son.
Yeah, I think losing his patience is a good way to put it there.
Yeah. Losing his patience, and he's kind of, he still feels like he's wrestling himself as he's saying the words, because he's talking about like what actually is mercy in this moment. You can see some of his doubts with his coming in and be like, well, I just watched you kill another mutant in front of me and all of this stuff. So like you can see him wrestling with himself too, but also I think at the same time I'm like, yes, Kurt, like now you're speaking what you probably didn't want to in the trial in the courtroom. But now that it's just him and his brother in the middle of nowhere, he can kind of lay into him a little bit more. So. Yeah,
and you can hear like he's strangling him slowly with that tail. Like, oh my god! And I do kind of laugh because the voice actor Kurt has all the dialogue, but the other guy, I just picture him in the voice studio. Because it went on for like 3 minutes. Like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
just having to do
Adrian
all
Huff, that. Nightcrawler.
Good job. Yeah, Nightcrawler. I've always enjoyed his voice and the way he speaks. He's kind of fun. So we won't talk about the final episodes yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, we're going to get into feedback now, but before we do, we just want to remind you guys how you can support the show, because Tomorrow's Legends, like I said, we've been talking about so many TV shows for 12 years. There's a lot of content on there, and if you'd like to support all of those years of effort and work and entertainment that we brought you, this is how you do it.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
It's time for feedback, punks.
All right, feedback, punks. So we got an email from Sci-Fi Gene, who we haven't heard from in a long time, and he says, "This is Sci-Fi Gene. I really enjoyed this episode because there was heavy focus on my favorite character, Nightcrawler. It was great seeing his attempt at finding redemption for Creed. Then when he failed, he was using swordplay and teleportation with a mutant that seemed to evenly match his combat skills. Then, after all that, he set things right his way, because when Creed forced him to teleport, he didn't specify where to go. So Nightcrawler used that moment to improvise and set things right his way. By the way, thanks for mentioning the possibility of scenes after the credits. I'm watching it on Disney Plus because I'm unplugged from TV broadcast, and when I get to the credits, the autoplay countdown starts. So I either have to end the stream at the credits or quickly cancel the autoplay after it shows up. So glad we could help out. Yeah, that's what I find funny with Disney Plus. The credits begin, and barely 2 seconds in, they get shrunken and sent to the bottom right of the screen, and something else starts showing you, and you're like, no, and you have to like direct control, use the remote to get the credits back up on full screen.
Yeah. If it does have an after credit scene or a mid credits, it won't do that. So if the credits don't immediately go away, then you'd be like, oh, there might be a credits after this. But,
okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
More tricks of the trade.
Disney started to do that. I think they finally realized, like, people were missing things, so they actually kept it up.
Well, thanks. Good stuff.
Yep.
Good to hear from you, Sci-Fi Gene. Hopefully, I know that we're a couple weeks behind, so hopefully we hear from you on the last 2 episodes as well. I've gotten some feedback in for the last 2 episodes already, but
good.
Hopefully everybody will realize, oh yeah, we're getting going again. Let's get our final thoughts in. So next up is a voicemail from X-Force 11.
Well, hello, X-Men fans. It's Jeff, X-Force 11, leaving my feedback about Strangeland Savage Heart. And I love this episode because it centered around 2 of my most favorite mutants, Colossus and Nightcrawler. They're both characters that I deeply love and appreciate. And I really like Nightcrawler and the way that he balances his faith with his mutant abilities and his personality. It is just such a welcome thing, and I just love and appreciate his character so much. And I appreciate Colossus because he has got this gentle artist soul, and he is forced into living in this reality where he has to put on his armor and be strong and be there for others, and he has always done that. I really wonder how they're going to get around this Illyana issue with her being dead. Now, she's been dead before in the comics and come back, but I'm wondering about that. But I love these 2 characters. I love this trial here that we have for Creed, and just how Nightcrawler can look into things and see the hope and see the middle ground and the way forward, and just him and Colossus's friendship. All right, those are my thoughts. X-Force is out.
He's opposite of you.
Yeah, I mean, I figured people probably would, because they're see the benefit of the doubt maybe a little more. But that's okay. I mean, we're different people coming at different angles, so that's fine.
I like his take on Colossus, the way he said putting on his armor to protect people. I like how he worded that. That was really cool.
No, he's a very protective person, and a very, like, he's got the artist heart. He's got the soft. He's a very sensitive guy. So like his power set is kind of opposite of him as a person, which I think is very fun in terms of like characterization and that kind of stuff. I like when that happens.
There's a lot of thought put into them for sure, and and I just knew I think I knew from us discussing it, but I knew he would connect Nightcrawler because of the faith and, the belief and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, a lot of people love Nightcrawler just in general too.
Yeah. So
he gets a focus. Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm glad you had an episode that was having your favorite guys in it, because it's pretty cool. I get Rogue almost every episode, so I'm more than content. So.
Mine are still missing in action and dead. So.
Poor Shadowcat's getting nobody.
So maybe another season. Maybe she'll show up.
Maybe. All right, one more email from our friend JJJ. What does he have to say?
All right. Hey, X-Maniacs. Triple J here. Let's get into it. Kurt Wagner is such a great character. He reminds me so much of Obi-Wan. He's dealt with so much loss and heartbreak, but his faith and goodness never waver. He's not given into the darkness when it's probably the easiest thing to do.
I like that correlation.
That says so much because every fiber of my being hates Graydon Creed, wants to see him get his comeuppance, and would not lose an ounce of sleep if Nightcrawler choked the life out of him. But it would be heartbreaking to see what giving in to such evil would do to Kurt. In a real world filled with such hate, Kurt's example in a 30-minute cartoon is the salve that we all need. And no, I'm not saying Graydon doesn't need his arse handed to him, but I'm just glad it didn't come at the expense of Kurt's faith and spirit. Another great episode. I give this 8.5 Law & Order gavels out of 10. This has been J. Jonah telling it like it is.
Okay, another one that really liked the episode, so...
Yeah,
I love how Graydon does deserve his arse handed to him, but
it does. I think so too.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people Kurt's gonna reach a lot of people from this episode.
It does, and then, like I said, his Kurt's way of viewing things and going about it can be a very touching and compelling thing, and I love Kurt as a character. I'm just, I think I've got some different feelings in my heart right now.
Yes.
But what was I gonna say? But yeah, Kurt's also not the character, not a character to kill or maim if he can. Like he's not one of those guys. He's not a Wolverine type that feels like if he needs to, killing is a necessary thing to do. Like he will do everything he possibly can to not do that and see, the redemption, the other side of things of that nature. So it's not like I'm saying I wanted to see Kurt do that. I do not think that's a thing Kurt would do or a character that I would see doing so.
Yeah. Or apparently Polaris, who throws a sword at your face.
Polaris, I can see Polaris doing that for sure. But yeah, yeah. So I was like, I watched it and I said, that's good. I watched it again because we have to talk about it. But then I was like, I'm okay with other stories speaking to me more.
Awesome stuff. Well, good thoughts, everybody around. Thanks for sending feedback. Like I said, fellas, get in more feedback for the last 2 episodes because it'll be off the air
or
for
ladies.
a year.
Where are you
or
at?
Ladies. Yeah, I mean that as a general.
I know, but I know we just haven't gotten.
We have no ladies sending in feedback. You're right. Yes, we need to hear from ladies.
Come on.
Exactly. Let's just get from everybody. 2 more episodes to go, and then it'll be off the air for a year. So let's get some thoughts in. See what you're thinking of this season overall. We'll do a final episode. What did you think of the season overall when we get to the end of it? So, in order to do that, you guys know what to do, but here it is anyway.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast @gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
All right, well, that wraps us up. I guess we have to discuss off air when we're going to record episode 8. I mean, we could wait till next Sunday and kind of make Sunday our thing, but people have been waiting for it for a while, so I don't know how busy you are during the week. If we can find an evening in the weekend during the week to do it.
I've got some flexibility this week.
Okay.
More than I normally have, so
all right.
Could work.
We'll message each other after the show, and if we can figure out a different night other than Sunday, we'll let you guys know. Just pay attention to the Facebook page. Go to Tomorrow's Legends podcast on Facebook and join us there. There is questions that you have to answer if you're not a member of the Facebook page. There's questions that you have to answer to be admitted in. If you do not answer the questions, we will not accept your request. So They're simple. It's just silly questions. Do you listen to the podcast? Who's your favorite character? Or something like that. But it just proves to us that you're not a bot or a scammer or whatever. So, yeah. So that is it for us this week. Everybody have a good start to their week. This is Havoc signing off.
And I survived the experience. Hope you did too. This has been Shadowcat. Except my best friend didn't.
Oh no.
Had to get one more in.
One more.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.